Going live right now.
Okay. Good. How come it's not coming up on my Facebook? Weird.
Shit. We are here with the Late Brunch.
Yo. Hello.
We've arrived.
That's right.
It is.
Brunch. we had first brunch.
Second breakfast?
Second breakfast.
Yeah, man.
11sies? Does anybody have 11sies?
Oh, fantastic. How's everybody doing this week?
Surviving. Surviving. That's pretty much all we can do at this point.
Living the dream, yeah.
Survive.
You know how it is.
And entertain ourselves.
Always.
What do you guys do to entertain yourselves?
A lot of shit. A lot of shit. We've gotten so bored we made our own fucking podcast. That's how bad it's been.
Hey, you know what? Yeah.
That's how real we had to entertain ourselves.
Real talk. That's a real thing. It's definitely a real thing.
Nothing else on Netflix. There's nothing really out there, so we really got to be our own entertainment.
We peaked at fucking Tiger King. That was
that was it. That was the point of no return.
Jesus.
That's hilarious. I love that. That is hilarious. Well, because Tiger King was what? Like that was like. It kind of popped like right before Corona really got bad, but when everything shut down, it fucking exploded because everybody watched it then. Like, cause everybody
they had no fucking choice.
And they're
already watched everything else on Netflix.
And they're watching Exotic Joe or Joe Exotic, whatever the fuck. He's like sitting there like he's like at a dude's fucking funeral talking about how his fucking nuts were like golden nuggets to that boy or some shit. It's like, wait, what? Are you at a funeral, dude? You're at a funeral right now, and you're talking about like dipping your nuts in like the golden sauce or something. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about. Like,
it was too much.
It was out of his freaking gourd is what he is.
It was too much. That goddamn Carol Baskin.
It's actually funny because like there was breaking news that Carol Baskin actually sold Joe Exotic Zoo just the other day, and that property that was sold cannot be used as a zoo sanctuary of any sort.
Interesting.
Oh, so what are they going to do with it?
So she's basically Carol Baskin's won. Carol Baskin won. She won the war. She won. Dude's in jail. She owns his shit. She just sold his shit, and his shit can never be used for fucking anything like zoo related ever again. So like, Carol Baskin's basically just like pissed on this dude's grave.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
Fucking Carol Baskin.
She's had it planned for a while, though. You know she's had it planned for a while.
It's pretty obvious that Carol Baskins was the chess player of like that whole of that whole freaking like shit show of a documentary.
Dude, yeah. I think we could probably do an entire episode on just Tiger King.
Absolutely, easily.
That's how serious it is.
Easily.
I saw a tiger.
God.
That was probably the best one.
What
do tigers dream of when they take a little tiger snooze?
Yes.
My God.
Do they dream of mauling zebras or Halle Berry in her Catwoman suit?
Oh, the days.
I'll learn how to play it on guitar if you learn how the whole damn thing, man. We'll just do a little.
I already know the song. Just start. I'll do it.
Is there a fucking app now also where you can do duets with people? You don't even have to you could jam through an app at this point. Like, that's how serious.
That would not surprise me in the least. I've seen. Actually, it was one of the video games that we were watching. Me and John were watching at the Video Game Awards last year. It was a video game that would teach you how to play an instrument. and like
Rocksmith.
that was like it was insane. It was fucking. It was like it's like gone are the days of instructors. Gone are the days of like that one-on-one. It's like if you have some little isolated kid in the middle of like a big giant city with no friends, and he just stays at home all day and jams his guitar with that video game, the dude's gonna be a fucking master by the age of like fucking 18.
Exactly.
You know?
There's kids that are starting that shit at like fucking 7, 8 years old, and they're already fucking prodigies.
Proof of that, my nephew, man, I gave him his first guitar set and an amp and like a little plastic like Pico or whatever it is, microphone and shit. He took that to a whole nother level. He got into Green Day. He got into music hardcore. Now he's just like, I want to see where music's going to take me. He's got bands, man, and he's just like bring around. He actually just put out their first EP.
That's fucking
That's
sick.
bad, dude. That's like, but see, that's bad. That's obviously that kid had the like an artistic temperament. Yeah. And by kind of like stoking that flame, that's all you had to do. Like you gave him, you know, like throw some paintbrushes at him, throw an instrument at him, you know, like. Throw a couple of art books his way, whatever, and like, and all of a sudden you just watch them blossom, like their minds are on fire, and like, you know, like, and they become like the true.
We're starting off really, really early, like technology is slapped in kids' hands at a really fucking early age, and a lot of it is just pretty much a distraction, you know, kind of giving the parents a break. That's really all it's used for. If not, it would be the same way as back in the day. Like, play with some fucking toys on the floor, play some Legos, build some shit, like, do something. There was nothing like that. Like, but they have now, dude, they have everything they need in the palm of their hand on a daily basis. Like,
that's right.
Kids these days are so, like, my daughter's about to be 15 years old this year. I'm fucking scared shitless of what I'm going to have to face. She starts high school this year, so.
Don't feel, I got 2 daughters of my own, but my oldest is 9. So like, don't like, I got it coming, dude. Don't worry, I got it coming.
Oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy. The way technology has really advanced kids in general. It's a whole other level. We didn't have that shit.
No,
we didn't have it. We had to do it off.
Like Game Boys.
I mean, we had Game Boys, but they like
we didn't. We didn't have the ability to like just just Google some shit and get like a working product. You know what I mean? It's like
you have to go to a library.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
You have to go to a library. Right. You have to have an old relative that owned every volume of Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yep, that's right.
Oh my God, they were like this fucking.
They don't have M. What am I gonna do about that?
I was trying to look up fucking Mastodon. What the fuck?
Which I want to know. What is Memento Mori? Since we're on the M subject there.
Yeah.
Memento Mori is a phrase that originated in the.
Latin, I'm assuming.
It's Latin, yes. It originated in the Roman eras, basically, but it was primarily used as a phrase to remind everyone that nothing is forever. So Memento Mori. Kind of literally translates. It literally translates to "remember you will die." So it was a reminder, even to the Caesars, even to the emperors. It was a reminder that nothing is forever on this earth. Like you will face your own mortality someday. So it was a very Roman way of saying stay humble. You know what I mean?
I was just gonna say.
It's basically the Roman equivalent of stay humble, homie. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna get humbled. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna stay humble or you're gonna get humbled. Either way, it's coming.
I love that shit.
It's coming.
There's nothing. I love reading in name origins. Like I love shit.
Yeah, that's great, dude.
Origins behind the names.
That's something to keep in mind every day.
Hell yeah!
No matter what class you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And I think it speaks to also as far as the we like to think. Here in our beloved country, in our beloved home, that we don't really have much of a class system, and for the most part, we kind of don't. Like you'll see people getting along from different, facets of society, and I'll hold the door open for a gentleman or a lady, at the gas station just to be polite, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if we really get down to brass tacks, there is still kind of a class system in this country. And the great equalizer, of course, is always death.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 people on a long enough timeline. 10 out of 10 people will eventually pass away.
Yep.
And so when I kind of, I was nerding out one night when I want to say I rediscovered that. I'm semi-familiar with Roman history from my early 20s, but 20 years later in my life, 20 years later, about, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was nerding out on Wikipedia or something, and I remember seeing this fucking logo. And then, of course, lo and behold, it's a thing in the veteran community, of course, too, obviously. So it's like it's become kind of like a statement, basically. It's just, remember you're gonna die, dude. And it was,
it's a strong statement, right? Yeah, it is.
It doesn't matter. I think it doesn't matter. If you're getting in your car and driving down the interstate, if you're hanging out in bars all night, if you're in a university college student, just going to your classes, you never know when that next day is going to come, or when the day is going to come, and it's a good reminder to be, obviously be good people always as much as possible, but remember that your time is coming. Every day, no day is guaranteed here for any of us.
Absolutely not.
Not a single thing.
Not.
Oh man.
And
holy
it's
shit.
Fucking heavy.
Yeah.
Shit, man.
So yeah, that's basically the origin of that when you see that.
So we have a comment here from Nikki Larson. They would love the gamer tag or sex position game. Actually, they've played it. They have played it. They've played sex position or gamer tag.
Yep.
I think like you, Jay, Joe was very knowledgeable on a lot of those.
I mean, you can't. We get to a certain age where it all just sort of makes a little more sense. You start reading into things a little too deep, then you just know it ain't what it really is.
Listen, I'm innocent-minded, so everything is a gamer tag to me.
So,
I call bullshit. I call bullshit on that immediately.
He's got a second thing in his living room. It's not even in his bedroom. It's just chilling in his living room.
It's actually in my kitchen.
Yeah. That's how the turkey defrosts for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. I gotta get that thing out tomorrow.
So while we're at the topic of games, is there what games are you guys playing now?
Oh man,
good question.
Fuck. I mean, I recently got back into Fallout 76. I'm a huge fucking Bethesda fanatic. I've been playing another game called Biomutant, which is fairly new. I'm a fan of single player shit. Like, it's been my thing. I'm not too much a guy on multiplayer shit, especially like first person shooters and shit like that. I think I actually talked about this last time. Like, that was definitely like one of my topics where I don't like battle royale games. Those things fucking annoy me, so I don't play those. What was it? Hunger Games. Exactly. Like, battle royale games is pretty much Hunger Games in every game. So we got too many of those. But I like Biomutant actually really caught my attention like recently. I played one multiplayer which was really good called Knockout Kings, which John, you actually put me on. It's a fucking dodgeball game.
Oh, Knockout City.
Knockout City. It's a pretty intense fucking game. Like, I really dug deep into it. Once he introduced me to it, like, I went worlds beyond wherever the hell he was. I had to. What about you? What are you gaming on?
Oh man, well I'm always been more of a simulation and like a driving car, cars and shit type of guy. So I got really into this new game. It's called SRX Racing Experience.
Showed me that shit.
It's put out by Ray Evernham, and if you don't know who he is, he's big in NASCAR. He's a big name in NASCAR and stuff. He was going for more of an experience, and it kind of tailored around like what the IROC series used to be. But they have high horsepower cars, 750 horsepower cars on really small fucking tracks, like 1/3 of a mile, 3/5 of a mile, shit like that. Not even a full mile. So it's all about skill. All the cars are set up exactly the same. Nothing can be changed, and it's all about who's the better driver. And the game focuses more on your style and what you want to do with how you drive, and
it's pretty fun.
It's really fun. But I also play a lot of American Truck Simulator. That was my big.
Well, you play with a big wheel though. That's what makes it so unique.
I have a Thrustmaster TMX Pro 4-speed.
Which fucking here's a little quip. Thrustmaster was actually one of my old fucking AOL screen names.
The OG Thrustmaster.
I was the original
Thrustmaster. Got you. I was gonna say
the wheel was an X Taserface or something.
No, it wasn't Taserface.
I was gonna say I never really had the honor of being given the nickname Thrustmaster because 30 seconds just doesn't do anything for anybody. So,
it wasn't even for that. Thrustmaster was more for like throttle and it was more gaming.
I was actually just gonna ask, like for the NASCAR game specifically, like, do you have a wheel for that one, or do you play with a controller? Because I imagine having to physically compete against other human drivers basically on these little tracks in like a simulated NASCAR.
That's John's got the wheel right.
He's holding it up right now.
So okay.
That's it. You can get this fairly cheap. It's like, well, I say cheap, but they're going for under $300 for the wheel and the pedal set.
Fairly cheap.
Hey bro, I'm getting out of the army, man. I'm probably gonna be robbing an armored car like within. Like,
if you do, let me know. I got your back.
I'm still you're paying that for what? 10 years. If you rob a bank,
I'm still looking for the driver. I need the explosives guy. And I need the dude who sits in the corner and just makes smart-ass comments the whole time. Oh, gotcha, Gio. You're on the crew. You son of a bitch. You're in.
I'm the guy that loses doubt in the planet first, and then later on is like, it all came together. I can't believe it.
Like, I knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah, I told you guys it was gonna happen. Never looked.
Duh, guys. Duh.
Now, one thing that I've always been curious about is okay. So yesterday, I actually had the pleasure to play American Truck Simulator with the wheel. I actually felt like I was driving, despite the fact I actually tipped the truck over.
He fucking tipped that bitch right over.
You can see it. He's got a 32-inch curved widescreen monitor there, and it's just like the field of view is forever. You get the whole windshield of the truck. So I don't know what the hell he was doing and how he did it, but he just
got engulfed in the fucking scenery and just he let himself go.
Yeah. So while we're in the topic of games, real quick, I just want to say I got a chance to play the Riders Republic open and closed beta, just the same fucking beta, and the game. It's if you're into sports games like SSX Tricky, a whole bunch of stuff like that. There was snowboarding, skiing, bike riding. Air gliding, paraplaning, and then you had like a little snowmobile as well. So it's a pretty open world game, and you're pretty much riding around doing all these sports. I really don't know how else to explain it. You're doing challenges, you're doing a whole bunch of other different stuff that pertains to the sports and stunts and tricks. I really enjoyed it. The game comes out in November, so.
I'm working, buddy.
As always, whether you're in New Jersey or in Pennsylvania.
Familia.
Family comes with.
Yes. So we. I don't even know where to start.
There's a couple things going on. An Xbox fridge.
What?
Wait.
What?
There is a Xbox fridge coming out holiday of this year.
Put it up on the whiteboard. Oh, fuck, wrong show.
Wrong show. We think we're interviewing you.
Wait, does this work at all?
We got one.
No.
We can't be doing it.
We can't.
That's got...
We gotta try. We gotta try to get
I feel like they've never watched the show before, Jay.
I've watched this show religiously since I started watching it like 4 episodes ago. So.
Oh no, I've watched the show. I've been in those comments like crazy.
No, but what's interesting here is that Gio, this is your second time coming on the show, and a lot has changed since then.
Yeah, absolutely, a lot has changed.
So let's hear it, man.
Well, I finally got to, I guess you could say, a point in my personal life where my drive needed to be matched with, you know, my ambitions. And by that I meant like I needed to do what I felt was best for me. So I gave up. Well, no, I wouldn't say gave up. I kind of hung up the microphone musically, and you know, kind of just set it aside. I'm not going to say I'm gone, but I definitely set it aside to kind of practice newer ventures and, you know, trying to get into something else that I feel I can also do. I've been trying to. One of my goals for a long time has been to become a voice actor. I wanted to do voice acting because of stupid impressions and shit like that I've been doing as a kid. But I figured, you know, I have a lot of dumb shit to talk about. I met somebody else that you know, John fucking introduced me to Joe, and we talk about a lot of dumb shit. So
just nonstop.
We decided, you know, fuck it. It's if we were to make a show out of it, it would probably entertain somebody. Like, I don't care how many people it is, as long as it entertains somebody, I've accomplished something. You know what I mean? I made somebody fucking smile, regardless of whatever stupidity that's thrown on fucking camera. And, you know, that's really, for me, that's self-rewarding. Like, personally, it's self-rewarding for me. Like, that's really the goal. If anything comes out of it, fuck it. Then fine, I'll ride that wave. But other than that, I'm just looking to really entertain people, keep people happy. Like, pretty much how I would like to be. As often as fucking possible.
So do you see into the music?
As of right now, yeah, I guess you could say I'm like in hardcore musical hibernation, just so I could put a lot of my focus on, you know, my the podcast, and, you know, over my next move. You know, I'm really trying to evolve and advance to what I feel is the next stage of my life. Like, you know, I've written so many chapters in my life with bands and you know, jobs and all this other shit, and I think it's time to try something new. I've never been somebody to really ride the hamster wheel for too long. Like, once it becomes too repetitive, I need to hop the fuck off. So that's pretty much where I get it. Like, I need to feel progression. If I don't feel progression, I don't feel the drive for it.
Right. I can hear you there. I gotta fix this thing.
My
damn phone fell because my.
But yeah, like, as far as music coming back, maybe. We'll see. Only time will tell.
Hey guys.
That's morning, buddy.
Hey Joe, I see you. What are you drinking on there, dude? What are you drinking on there?
This is the. I'll give you see if I get a close up.
Oh, Yingling.
Light, dude, or light lager.
Light Yingling,
the beer of our people.
Dude, you guys don't understand like how cherished Yingling is in like out west, because we don't get it. So anybody that's no, it does not get sold west of. They actually just
screwed that. If I wanted to start drinking it,
no, it's only just come down south recently in the past maybe 10 years.
Yeah, they just recently started expanding west of the Mississippi River, but it was literally like you could be in St. Louis, Missouri, and there is no Yingling to be found, and you drive like 30 miles. You drive like 30 miles into Illinois, and there's Yingling. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally like it was like that, and they just recently started expanding, but it hasn't hit like I live in Colorado, like it hasn't hit Colorado yet. But like in the Army, like, anytime I'd go like TDY to like Fort Bragg or like Fort Benning or whatever, like that's all I fucking drank. And it's like your guys' cheap beer, and it's your cheap beer. That's cheap beer.
It's our cheap beer, but it's because it's got so much history and it's so local. But I gotta tell you, if you get a Yingling lager from near here in Potts, because I'm kind of close to Pottsville, Pennsylvania, Pottsville. I don't know how I didn't realize that. Pottsville.
Say pot.
Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
He said pot. That's all I heard.
If you have a lager from Pottsville, Pennsylvania, it will taste different than a lager that you can get down in, say, like Fort Benning, Georgia.
Oh, I wonder why.
The minerals in the water are completely different.
So interesting little side story about Fort Benning and me and Yingling is when I went to ALC. So when I was a buck sergeant getting ready to pick up staff sergeant, I had to go to ALC, right? So I went to Fort Benning for 45 days to this school, and where our schoolhouse was and where we were barracked, where our barracks was right next to like the airborne towers. And so we would go to the airborne shopette. And I'm telling you guys, for 45 days straight, the minimum amount of Yingling I drank for 45 days straight, I would get 3 tall cans of Yingling, and it was for $4.10. So basically, I got the equivalent of a 6-pack for $4.10.
You can't go wrong.
I drank Yingling for 45 days fucking straight. I'm talking like it was that was the minimum. So like the nights we actually partied, like that wasn't even like a blip on the radar. That was like your appetizer. You know what I mean? Like that was like on a night I was studying. I'd still drink like 3 tall cans of fucking Yingling when I was studying. You know what I mean? Like
I can't do the heavy anymore, so we had to switch to light because it just the mud butt and the
mud butt,
the mud butt that you get from that, man, an all day affair, and it was just terrible. It didn't matter what you were eating; it just was sludge coming out. So
shit.
Terrible. Growing up in Arizona, working construction stuff. In Spanish and slang, we'd call it mezcla, and mezcla is like. It basically just means mud, you know what I mean? It's mud, but like it's like when you're sitting there like in the porta shitter at a construction site, and you're just like, oh my god, last night, what the fuck, it's just fucking mud, like Gio, you poor bastard.
Whenever I do decide to drink, which is only on like special occasion, I like lager. Like I'm a fan of lager. Like I like IPAs. I'm a huge fan of IPAs and shit like that. Like. I like that flavor shit where it has some kind of twist to it.
But those are also not beers that you want to sit there and chug like 12 of.
Oh no, absolutely. I drink one and I'm already feeling like Also because I'm a fucking lightweight.
Start getting the squirts.
This was really more of a special occasion because of our guest appearance here. So typically we're more into the flowery stuff.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for making me feel like I'm not the only alcoholic on this fucking show. Because like the only one that never drinks.
Cheers.
Yeah.
There you go. Cheers.
Cheers. What was that? Was that on like South Park? Like cheers, fuckface. Like Terrence and Phillips. Cheers, fuckface.
So. What do you want to start with? Do you want to start with? Well, we got your updates with Gio. Do you got anything else going on? You got your Kobalus designs. You got Kobalus designs happening.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the move?
The
trip that you're about to take?
Initial idea. Well, I'm actually planning to. I'm gonna be out by you soon.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna be visiting Arizona in October, between the 14th and the 17th. I believe
Scottsdale, outside of Phoenix.
Yeah, just outside of Phoenix.
Okay.
East of Phoenix.
I grew up in Tucson, so yeah.
All right.
Very, very, very familiar with like all of Arizona, basically. So.
All right, so then there you go. I grew up there. I have an opportunity to actually, move out there permanently.
Okay.
And I've been really, really contemplating and really thinking it over, and I might actually do it. So that's one of, a big move that I guess the big move that Don is referring to. But like I said, I'm really trying to just start anew, start a whole new chapter, and that means I have to make big changes, and that means I got to get the fuck out of Jersey for one. Like I've been here almost 30 years of my life. I had my daughter here. Not here.
It's not here.
Not here.
This is not Jersey.
No, not here. In Jersey, I had my daughter there. So I every band that I've had, everything that I've done successfully in any way, I did in New Jersey. So I feel like I've sucked New Jersey dry of all that I can. And I got to do it elsewhere.
I can completely relate because just prior, almost immediately prior to me joining the Army, I didn't join the Army till I was 29. But I had gotten married. I got married when I was 27.
All right.
And we got married in Tucson, and then me and my first wife, we actually moved to Kansas City, Missouri, where I was born. But I had not lived there. I had not lived there the vast majority of my life. We moved when I was like 4 years old. So like all I knew was Arizona, right?
Yeah.
But I think it speaks volumes to when me and my first wife moved to Kansas City, I felt free for like the first time in like a long time, because I had grown up in Tucson. I felt like I was spinning my tires. I was 27, 28 years old. The most money I ever made at a tax-paying job was $12 an hour. I remember digging ditches on job sites with a fucking a goddamn jackhammer with a spade. With a spade. That's how hard the ground gets out there. It's called caliche. So like the ground is as hard as rock. So you use a spade bit on a jackhammer. You go down, you wiggle it, to kind of loosen the earth. You pull that 80-pound jackhammer up, move it back about 12 inches, do it again. And digging like 200-foot lines for irrigation in like the July sun for like $8 an hour, right?
Oh, like no, fucking toasted.
So long story short, when I moved to Kansas City with my first wife, I felt free, and then that kind of went to toast like very shortly after, which to this day, whatever, we're on a podcast, so I'm not going to get into all that shit. But so I'm driving back to Tucson to live with my parents for the first time in like 10 years. And I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? Oh my God. And that was when I decided to join the Army. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to war, dude. Marriage completely failed. I'm going back to Arizona with my tail between my legs. I'm not going back to Arizona. I'm going to go back to Arizona for as long as it takes me to get right the fuck back out. Because just the very short, I think it was like 6 months, maybe 7 months that I was in Missouri, after living in Tucson for 25 of my first 29 years, it just expanded everything. I was like, oh my God, this is what I needed. I needed to not be where I grew up, and it changed
Absolutely.
The whole dynamic of life, basically. And then I joined the Army, and it's been 12 years. But back to you though, Gio, is like, it might not be the worst thing. I can relate to that. I can relate very heavily to that.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, but that's awesome, man. Now Joe, who is a veteran. He's one half. We have a rock star, actually a jack of all trades entrepreneur, artist on one side, and then we have a veteran who works at a cemetery.
Yeah, it's I went and joined the Army back in 2010. Got out in 2014. I did 9 months in Kuwait. We just fixed a bunch of shit there. No, non-combat tour, but still.
What was your MOS, Joe?
91 Charlie, utility equipment repairer.
Where did you go to basic training?
I went to basic training at South Carolina.
Jackson,
relaxin' Jackson. I'm sorry, man.
Relax.
I smoke so much weed, Jay. I forget my fucking name.
It's okay,
bro.
No, the reason I asked is because the reason I asked is because I also joined in 2010, and I started my career as a mechanic. So my original MOS is 91 Lima. So
I was an Alpha 360th.
Okay, so I went to Leonard Wood. So. I was at Leonard Wood for basic and Leonard Wood for AIT. I'm assuming you went to Fort. Where'd you go for AIT? Was that Fort
Lee?
Fort Lee, Virginia. That's it. Yeah. See, I stayed at Leonard Wood because my MOS is kind of attached to the engineers. Okay. So my AIT was actually at Leonard Wood. But so you went to Fort Jackson, Fort Lee, and then where'd you get stationed at?
Benning.
Oh, nice. You got stationed at Benning. Fuck yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I was on main post with 598th. Maintenance, and then they came back from Afghanistan.
Okay.
Within like 2 months of me getting in there, and the sergeant major up on Kelly Hill for a third ID came down and was like, "Hey, you gotta come with me. You're mine now, basically." Because I was the only AC guy. I was one of two AC people, 91 Charlies. So they took my ass right the hell, because they disbanded 598th, and then that was it. That's all she wrote. I hate to say it, but I got out for the same reason many other veterans did as well, and that was because we saw the toxic leadership that had been promoted throughout the ranks, and lower enlisted like shit, and we were tired of it.
Sure. And you're and depending on where a service a soldier is, either lucky enough or unlucky enough to get stationed, it can change their entire career. I'm talking from the beginning, like literally out of training, it can literally, like, just by picking that one little lottery ticket, like, this is where you're going to get stationed out after training, can change the course of your entire career. Because if you have an extremely negative experience, environment, whatever, on your first contract, especially if you're an 18, 19-year-old kid, why would you expect somebody to stick it out? Why would you expect somebody to try to push forward? And there's people out there that have a lot of resilience. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people out there that have plenty of resilience and plenty of ability to bounce back from stuff. But it's not everybody, and it's when you have those negative experiences. Like, I'm sorry, I'm talking. Like, you go ahead.
No, dude, you're good. I just want to say, like, it wasn't all bad.
Right.
I met a lot of good people. You know what I mean?
Right.
I have a lot of lifelong friends now, and I was just talking to. I call maybe 5 or 7 different people every now and then. You know how we are with communication. You know what I mean? So like, just check in, do your battle buddy check on them. I've done it more now since what's happened with and I don't know if you guys get into politics much on here, but with everything going on with Afghanistan and whatnot.
Oh, we talk about Afghanistan on here. That's fine.
With all the shit that happened out there in the recent weeks, I've made sure to call the people who I feel it would have affected the most, and ensure that their mind is in a good place and that they understand that their service matters, and that if they have any issues, they can call me, they can talk to me any time of night. I will answer the phone. I'm all about that shit. But
Absolutely.
I don't know. Other than that, though, my fucking time in the Army wasn't all bad. I had a lot of fun learning how it actually operates, how discipline and motivation can help, even if it's fake motivation.
Yep. False motivation.
That shaped my life. I mean, shit.
False motivation better than no motivation.
Motivation is the key. So I got out in 2014 though, and it's I don't know what other veterans are going through. I haven't talked to too many others other than my brothers that I keep close contact with, but the few that I do talk to, some of them are in the same boat as me, where it's like you kind of float around a little bit till you find your place, and I feel like I found my place here at the cemetery. I work at, I don't know if I want to give it out on live here because we're doing things.
Yeah, let's not.
I work at a pretty big park somewhere in Pennsylvania. I'll just say that, and I love it. I'm helping people every day, even if it's like through a really shitty process.
Sure.
Anyone
that's a big part of our society that gets extremely overlooked. Our society is very, very life focused. And it's almost like even growing up in the United States, like, death just gets overlooked until it happens. It's like we are going 900 miles a minute every day of our lives, and then death happens sometimes, and then but then you have to deal with it along with your 900 mile a minute life. You know what I mean? Right. And people
doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't.
Life doesn't stop for death.
People fall hard. People fall hard when it happens, especially when it happens very suddenly.
Absolutely.
But anyway, it's a good trade to get into if it's something that you were looking into.
Well, tell me, I want to hear more about you helping people. Like, I want to hear like you talked about it being very like emotionally gratifying. Like, I want to hear more about that, because that's like,
on the first day, I got to help a dude with getting his ass off the ground, because this dude was 500 fucking pounds, Jay. All right, and he wanted to go put flowers on his grandmother's spot, which I'm all for it. My first day working there, my manager's with me, and we take this guy in a wheelchair, a motorized wheelchair. All right. And
he just hit some kind of dip, and he just went,
oh shit.
The dude was over 500 pounds, so like he had these spandex pants on because I guess they don't make anything that's. And it when he hit the ground, his ass jiggled in such a way that the spandex just and his ass out for all of God and America to see. His home health care aide that was there, she kind of stood there. She's a toothpick. She didn't weigh like but maybe 95 pounds soaking wet. She just stood there like, oh, here we go. We almost had to call the fire department to help pick this guy up off the ground. It was that bad.
Holy crap.
Yeah. It took me and another guy and our manager Jess and the home health aide. It took 4 people to lift him up and get him in the chair.
But you got him.
He dead weight. His one knee didn't work.
And then what are some of the other like? So there's stuff like it's like
Jello booty incident.
I'm so happy I wasn't the only one that laughed internally.
I fucking love that.
Thank you so much for letting that out. I hope you're so happy.
So, like, if this guy ever comes across this podcast and hears it and decides to sue me, man, I'm fucking sorry.
No. It's one of those things that happens. Like, what are you gonna fucking do? Like,
he can't handle himself.
You're in a motorized wheelchair and you fall over and your ass gets blown out of your freaking pants. Like, it's one of those like, dude, you know whoever that dude was visiting. If there's an afterlife and they were watching that, they were laughing so hard. You know his fucking dude. You know they were laughing. They get but God damn it, dude. Like, it was totally not where I was expecting you to go with my question.
State too, like
So I've helped the guy up off the ground, yeah. That's
What about the emotion? What about the emotional help? What about the emotional help?
Yeah, how do you? Yeah, this is.
Actually, I have PTSD from that shit, my bro. Just fucking alone. It's haunted my dreams for fucking. Well, I've been there for a while now, so like almost every night, every time I closed my eyes, there would be just a flash of the Jello booty incident. And
I am curious though.
It's traumatizing.
I am curious though. How do you get someone like comfortable enough to talk about? Either buying their grave or like a family member's grave. Like, how do you break that ice?
Oh, you gotta. So most of the time,
well, you're slick with it. You fucking try to reel me in like without even wanting to. Like, you were just fucking around. I don't know how the hell he got into the conversation. I was convinced for this.
He tried to sell you a gravesite?
Yo, are you kidding me? Yo, you sounded very convincing.
I already have one. I already have a gravesite. So
I walked on it. You
did. Yeah, John's been there. John's seen it.
Hold on. Wait.
Where is it?
Here we go.
It's outside of Kansas City, Missouri. It's in I guess the zip code it would probably count as the town of Buckner. But there's this little old country church on top of a hill, and like the majority of a lot of my immediate family, and then generationally going backwards, are buried in that cemetery. And so when my grandpa on my dad's side passed away a few years ago, he owned 3 plots in that cemetery.
Okay.
So one of those plots he gave to me.
Wow.
And that's the specific plot that he gave me is immediately next to him. So where he's buried right now, I will be buried right next to him.
What about your wife?
I'm no longer married. I'm twice divorced. I have a beautiful and wonderful girlfriend right now. That was the young lady that texted or that messaged us earlier on Facebook. That was Nikki.
Okay.
So,
my apologies.
No, you're fine.
So you have a space, right?
Yes.
Do you know what else you have? Do you have a vault? Do you have an opening and a closing?
They don't do. No, they don't do. No, they don't do vaults out there. It's either. It's all in ground. It's not going to be in a vault. It's like all in ground. This cemetery
have to have an outside burial container. You must have an outside. So a concrete vault is what you put the casket
not in Missouri.
Put into the ground.
Not in Missouri. No.
They have different rules in Missouri.
Yeah. Well, there's 50 different states, 50 different rules on how you bury your dead.
I guess so.
Shit.
In PA, I know we have to have an outside burial container.
It's funny that you mentioned that actually, because when my grandpa. when my grandpa passed away a few years ago, you'll probably find this interesting. He went due to the month that he passed away, the ground was still frozen, so they had to wait until the thaw to put the body in the ground. Like that's like, yeah. So like, yeah, we don't have to do vaults in Missouri, dude. Like that doesn't exist. Like that does not exist in Missouri. So like my last grandparent, my grandma on my mom's side, my mom's mom just passed away. It was a couple months ago, and then so when we went there, she was cremated, but her husband, my grandpa, was already in his plot, and so all they did was that they dug down about, I don't know, 3 feet probably, and we put her container on top of basically where my grandpa is, because he's also cremated, and then we just threw our flowers in and we covered it up, and me and a few other men in our family covered it up. Like that's what we do. Like
that sucks as fuck, man.
That's what we do, man. Like that would be more of a, I don't necessarily want to call it a Midwestern tradition, but that is a normal. I know I have a buddy that his family's from the Gulf Coast of Texas, and like that's what their family does. Like you bury your own. Like so the cemetery will dig.
Like that's.
And then the family will do the first few shovel scoops. But in my grandma's scenario, the hole was so shallow. Just me and a couple of the other men in the family. My dad, one of our cousins, we filled the whole hole. Like we filled it up. Like.
There he is.
Family has been. Sorry, but yeah, my family has been members of this church for over 100 years.
Oh,
so like,
shit.
so not just
That's
the cemetery.
awesome.
But
That's why.
It's not just the cemetery. It's attached to this little church, and so like that's the area outside of Kansas City, Missouri, that my family generationally going back is from. So like it's all interwoven and very tight knit, type shit, and like that is a norm. That is a norm in our world. Like when somebody in the family goes down to die, like you bury them. You know what I mean? Like you put the last pieces of dirt on them. Like that's your job. Like the next generation, or the surviving generation, buries their own, and you keep moving fucking forward. That's it. Like,
so do you guys use backhoes, or do you just are all the holes hand dug?
No. There's no. In some of the bigger cemeteries, and even in that cemetery, they will use a backhoe. But some of those cemeteries are so tightly packed, you can't get a backhoe in there. So you could get like, a lot of it has to be hand dug, because some of these cemeteries are old. Some of them are built on hill. There's shale. There's a lot of shale out there. Shale sucks, dude. Shale fucking sucks, dude. So you're talking. There are the newer cemeteries. Yes, you'll have backhoes, and depending on where a plot is located, if it's alongside a road, yes, obviously you can use a backhoe. Right. But if you're like 3 rows back, and they're all so tightly packed, like you're not gonna get a backhoe in there without fucking up like 10 gravestones. You know what I mean? Like so you dig that bitch. You dig down to the sod level, and you roll the sod off, and then you've got your fucking dirt, and then you just fucking start digging straight down. That's how you dig it. That's how you would dig it in Missouri, like Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, parts of Ohio. A little bit farther, Ohio, or not Ohio, excuse me, Iowa to the north, Nebraska, that little pocket of the country, that's kind of how all that ground is out there in the plains. That's how all the ground is. Right. You really only have to worry about shale. Digging
the fucking tectonic plates, dude.
Digging is not that hard. Digging is not that hard in Missouri. It's time consuming. That's all it is. That's all it is time consuming. Like digging in Arizona is fuck digging in Arizona. Period. How about that? You need a backhoe every time. You know what I mean? Like every fucking time, because it'll take you fucking 3 days to dig a hole like that in Arizona. Oh
damn.
So have you guys had any like paranormal experiences at cemeteries? I'm talking to the three of you too.
I've had one, which was a long time ago actually, and it was in think North Carolina? South Carolina. Closest to Georgia, so it was probably South
Carolina.
I'm stoked. But yeah, we took a video camera to this place, and we were actually there to just fucking blaze. The people that were hosting us, I guess, drove us up to this little semi, and we were kind of talking about it prior, and I had this video camera because I was just visiting down there. I was with my sister, one of her friends, and I think these two fucking guys, one guy, or whatever the fuck it was. But when we went into the cemetery, I was basically just walking by and just recording the pathway as I was walking, using the light to kind of guide me to wherever the fuck I was going. As I'm going through the cemetery, I'm actually filming like plots and shit. Like, I'm just looking at all the shapes of the tombstone, just being a fucking kid. We record all this shit. A bunch of other shit happens. It freaks my sister out. So we decide to fucking leave and go back home. So I was like, I'm gonna go fucking check out if I caught anything on cameras. And she's all freaking.
Wait, hold on. What was the shit that was freaking your sister out?
Well, all right. So on our way back to the car, because my sister and her friend were in the car rolling another blunt. So they said that they heard something running at full speed towards the side of the car, and they were screaming their fucking head off. I'm talking about they were screaming bloody murder, and they saw us come up off the hill because
so they knew you were. Yeah, so they knew you guys weren't. They knew you guys weren't anywhere near them.
Yeah,
but they heard
up the hill in the cemetery because that's what I wanted to go see. And my sister's fucking freaking out, screaming. We heard the scream and walked back to the car. When we walked back to the car, they're there fucking holding the door closed and shit. And we're like, okay, so I guess we're getting the fuck out of here. And they're like, let's go. We gotta get the fuck out. All right, bet. So we all left. When we got to the house, I decided to check the footage. Like, I wanted to see what the path was, whatever the fuck I caught. When I went to look at the footage, it didn't let me see anything. The tape just was blank. Mind you, I recorded. Like, I could tell I recorded because the light I was using to fucking guide me along. And right. I'm talking about an old camcorder where the
that light only comes up. That light would only come on if you were recording. If you were
so it recorded, but nothing was caught on footage. It was just blank, absolutely blank. Like he didn't want me to record whatever the fuck was there.
That's like some fucking Jodie. That's like some Jodie Foster like contact shit. It's like, yeah. There was. We didn't really get much, but there was totally 19 hours of static. She wasn't lying. She was gone for 19 hours. Okay, Roger that. What about you, Joe? You ever have some creepy ass shit?
Happened to me in the cemetery. The other thing that's happened to me, wasn't really creepy. I was just fucked up on acid with two of my friends, and it was very stupid. That was about it.
That's your own fault. That is your own fault.
That's my own fault. It was self-inflicted.
It may or may not have actually happened.
Yeah, I don't think it happened.
I can't really
speak on that good a trip.
I can't speak on any experiences I've had at the cemetery other than when I first started as a sales guy. I was taking a piss in the one bathroom and I heard someone go in my ear, so that kind of freaked me out. But nothing has happened. Nothing like that's happened since. But I've had experiences in other places, other things. There was somewhere down near Gettysburg here we went to, and there was some kind of folklore about dude on a horse. We get to this one gate where you can go into this park or some shit, and got out, and all we heard was clop, 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 like walking around the car. And I was like, oh, and I was like, we gotta go now, we gotta go. Like, that's too much. I can't deal with it. I was younger, I didn't know what I was dealing with, but now I'm all into paranormal shit. I go with ghost shit all the time. Nothing, absolutely fucking nothing.
I have always.
It's not accurate for shit.
Right.
I have always been fascinated with the kind of I don't know if you'd call it the echoes in time theory of paranormal activity, where it's basically it's basically just there was such an immense amount of energy kind of dispersed at one time that it just repeats. Basically, it's basically like watching an echo in time. Basically, like you're watching something. What's that?
Limestone holds energy like that, and that's the kind of shit that'll happen where it's on like a loop, and it'll happen on like a certain date or at a certain time each night.
You know, and I want to clarify too that I'm extremely like agnostic, whereas like I don't necessarily believe or disbelieve anything, but I more follow the more scientific method of like what I can see, what I can do, what I can prove in any given moment.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, check out on our podcast here.
Actually, we actually got some really good footage on our podcast from his sister, and you should definitely check out the 2 clips.
That's kind of what I was prefacing is basically like I've had experiences in my life that I don't necessarily have the capability of explaining outright. Yeah. You know, and that's one of the stories is when I lived in, you know, growing up in Arizona, growing up in Tucson. And this is in my early adulthood. This would be like I was into my 20s at this point. And I was also sober at the time. So I didn't have the excuse of like we had just gone to the bar or whatever. You know, like I was sober for about not quite 3.5 years in the middle of my 20s, like completely sober. So me and a buddy of mine went to this old cemetery down a road it used to be kind of outside of Tucson. It's now part of Tucson basically, but it was way out in the desert, and it was a cemetery, just like an old Western cemetery, like for like, you know, people that lived out there, but going back all the way to like basically the Wild West days. Mm-hmm. And me and my friend, we used to go to the cemetery and chill out, and this is at night, and we would just, it's very peaceful out there, so we would just kind of go there and walk around and bullshit, because, you know, we would take a drive, and it would take 20 or 30 minutes to drive there, and then we'd chill out there for a little bit, and we'd drive home, and that was our night, you know, whatever. Okay. So this one night, we go there, and we go through kind of like the entrance gate, and of course, there's nobody out there. It's dead silent. It's a desert at night, you know. It's dead silent, you know. And we didn't make it past the opening, like the opening of the gate, before it was just like something was a little off. Now this is me and my to understand the story, I guess, is me and my friend were very no fucks given at all times. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, we're fucking scared. Well, guess what? We're just gonna go towards that thing that's making us scared anyways. Yeah. Fuck it. You know, YOLO, right? Like, so we still walked around the cemetery.
Rambo.
We walked around the cemetery. Nothing really major to report, other than that feeling of unease just kind of didn't go away. And then we got kind of back towards where the entrance was, because it's a big archway entrance. And we got back towards where the entrance were, and it was like all of a sudden like we weren't alone. And whatever other thing was there was back towards in the cemetery where we had just walked from, but it was like right there now. And we could not see anything. Now, mind you, it's nighttime, it's dark. There was no as I recall, there wasn't very much moonlight that night, so it was dark. But you could still kind of see. You had ambient light from Tucson. You know, you have the ambient city light, so like you can kind of see because of the ambient light. But you know, but we couldn't see anything. But it was like, whatever this is, it's right there. It's like 30 meters in front of us, and it's just like waiting for us to like get the fuck out of here. So me and him were just kind of like, all right, we're getting the fuck out of here. And then we just got into our car, and
intuition speaks way louder than anything else, man.
That's really what. And I'm not inherently a believer. You know what I mean? Like I don't really. A lot of it, I just don't care. Like it's really ultimately what it comes down to is I just don't fucking care. I don't care. I'll find out when I fucking die. I don't give a. You know what I mean?
At some point in human history, we had encountered something akin to what you had encountered, and it scared the fuck out of us. And that stayed within DNA through generations. Probably. So you don't even realize that your body can respond to things around you without, just energy and whatnot.
That's correct.
You know.
Well, that's like some people in like again, especially in the Midwest, are prone to noticing when the barometer drops, like when a tornado's coming.
Oh yeah.
The skies.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
The skies gonna be clear, but
rain out here. I got a headache from that shit now. You know.
That fucking barometer fucking drops, dude, and all of a sudden it's like, you don't. You're like, okay, everything looks okay. What the fuck? Why am I freaking out right now? You know what I mean? Like that's pretty much what it is. I mean, it was a gut feeling. It was a feeling more than anything. We didn't see shit. It was a feeling more than anything. But that was the only time cemeteries have never scared me. Like I could spend the night in a cemetery like without fucking blinking. It wouldn't bother me one bit. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like I can't necessarily, or I don't necessarily have the knowledge to explain feelings that I get. You know, when the chemistry in my brain starts firing off, and it makes my body feel a certain way when I'm in a certain moment, I don't have the explanation for all of that. So I'm not going to pretend to. You know.
Definitely, man. No, your body tells you things that you don't even realize. It's quite dank in this room, I must say.
Beautiful.
Dank.
Diggity
dank.
It's beautiful.
I gotta say, I wish I could be participating today, but you're gonna have to give me until about October 3rd. So,
bro, that's why we wanted to toast with our.
That's right. With our this. I choose the drug that's statistically linked to domestic violence, early death. You know, like this is my drug of choice, everyone. Wow. This is what I use. This is what I'm allowed to use. Thank you.
Really
Thank
nice.
you.
Oh yeah.
Really nice.
So yeah, man.
So yeah.
Basically, man, working at the cemetery, it's not a bad gig because we know we like to use the line about insurance. You know, like we all have insurance. We all have either car insurance, home insurance, renter's insurance, life insurance, what have you. Something that's going to protect you from something that could happen. You could get in a car accident. You could have a fire in your house. You could, you know, potentially get hurt and need to use your health insurance. But the one thing that you're going to be insured on when you come to like where I am is the fact that in future generations you've locked in a price for your space in our fucking cemetery so that inflation won't fucking affect you, and you know that you're going to pass at some point. So it's like an insurance policy you're going to use that gets better with time anyway.
And then your family doesn't have to dick around with that shit if you just like if you suddenly get waxed like on the fucking freeway. You know what I mean? Your family, you know, he was only 35. He had so much left to, you know, it's like, yeah, no shit. He was only 35. You know, like, yeah, but you know what? Like, but now your family doesn't have to do the fucking, like, find the fucking hole you get fucking put in part. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, not to sound crude about it, but that's pretty much what it comes down to.
I mean, the truth is the truth, you know?
Yeah, no, that is.
It's a difficult position though, because when you do deal with families who don't prearrange and something happens, they're hit with the cost of what it is. So you figure somebody who's actually prearranged and gone through everything, they have their space, their casket, their vault, their memorial, their marker, if you will, or their stone and shit. We don't have uprights. We just have flat ones with flat bronzes on them. They're kind of elegant, keeps the landscaping looking nice. But all those four things there, and plus all the other fees included, because there are some other fees. We don't like to show them as hidden either. We'll tell you what they are. But it gets costly. Versus like someone who did it in the 70s, it could have cost maybe $2,000 to bury someone. Now it could be anywhere from, just at a cemetery standpoint, $10,000, $11,000, $12,000.
God damn.
You got to deal.
Well, I've heard a lot of people are moving.
$8,000, $10,000.
Dude, how much would it cost to just donate my ass to a pack of fucking necrophiliacs?
You can donate your body to science.
No, just necrophiliacs.
Just necrophiliacs.
Web for that.
I'm trying to bring joy to people's lives. So,
Jesus Christ, that's a hell of a way to do it after death.
Hey, it's something that can be, you know, productive after I'm gone.
I'll be planted as a tree.
Well,
when I'm
Joe,
gone, people still make use of it.
Well, Joe, hasn't there been kind of an uptick in cremations lately because of like associated costs, like?
Oh yeah, man. Cremation is a very popular form of burial these days because
is it cheaper?
It's slightly cheaper. It's more convenient for families that are grieving. They can hang on to the ashes and whatnot for a longer period of time, and when they're ready, they can You know, the
spreader than whatnot.
You know, yeah, you can honor someone's wishes by placing them wherever they want. Hopefully, law is permitting. It's illegal to just dump ashes on property somewhere without permission and shit. So you gotta be careful with all that and make sure your localities have like the right laws or whatever. You get the right shit to do it. But yeah, I mean, cremation's become exceedingly popular, especially in the past like 50 years alone. It's grown in like I think 20, 40, 50% somewhere in those. I don't even know. It's just ridiculous. I'm reading a book about it on how to do like cemetery pre-need sales, and from the 50s to the 90s, it had grown exponentially.
That's pretty sick.
So did what's decreased is the sale in amount of plots and stuff too, because then, you know, the amount of families that are separating and whatnot now are more than ever. You know, that
See, that makes sense.
Father and wife, and then 2.5.
Well, it would be cheaper to fucking buy like multiple plots at once rather than just one.
No.
Really? It's just the same price regardless.
What you can excuse me real quick. A second right. All right. A second right of internment.
Where that?
No, dude. We're not talking about where I work, but I'm just saying you can get a second right, which allows you to put someone else in the same space. So, like, if you're buried there and then someone's cremated, like your wife or whatever, they can put you in the same space with her, or vice versa. So, like, that's a thing that can happen, and that's at half the price of the space to do that. So instead of paying full price for someone to go next to you who's only taking up a little space, you can pay half of it and have them put on top. That's not
actually pretty fucking sick.
Thing, but I mean, it's in a lot of places. The other shit though, like I know Jay's off camp right now, but just to go into it, like helping families and what he was asking about earlier, you know, it's a little stressful. It's a little rewarding because you're comforting them in their time of need. You're making sure that they're getting what they believe or what they want. You know, I don't want to say what they believe they want. You know, I try to go about this in the most honest and transparent way possible, so families understand.
Well, you have to, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's people out there, they're very sneaky, and funeral homes and cemeteries have been caught lying and trying to manipulate people for more money because we're all commission-based mostly. I don't give a shit about my commission because I have, you know, entitlements through other things. So, like, you know, like my commission doesn't matter. But it is kind of stressful to help families that are grieving, especially immediately when they don't have those prearrangements. It can be hard because they're so emotionally charged and driven, and they don't understand like everything they're getting. They just know that they have to do this and it has to happen now and all this shit. So my advice to anybody who's dealing with a sudden death in their family is to like don't rush it. Take your time, and you know, there's always family and there's always support out there. Reach out to your pastors if you're that type of person. Reach out to family, reach out to friends, ask people who've gone through it before. If you feel like the cemetery or the funeral home you're talking to is trying to swindle you, do not sign anything. Make sure you understand what you're signing, because I'm telling you, I've replaced a guy who was doing some illegal shit, and I can't say names and I can't say what, but he was doing some illegal shit, so they got him out. You know, it's not fair to the family. So
I think a lot of this too, Joe, speaks very, very heavily on, you know, especially if you're I want to say even mid-20s, but it's kind of hard to expect people to be maybe that forward thinking in the mid-20s. But if you've hit your 30s and you don't have a living will, you don't have something on a piece of paper stating your wishes that if you suddenly, you know, bite the bullet, it's over. It's over tomorrow. You need to have something written down for like what you want and what your wishes are, because that's where a lot of these families get into these big bickering contests, and that's where like somebody gets saddled with like $50,000 of debt because somebody didn't have what do you need to do after I pass away? If I die today, what, you know, here's instructions for like everything. And if you're not doing that for your family after, like, I'd say especially after you turn 30, you're doing everybody a disservice, because if you croak tomorrow, they're not going to know what the fuck to do. They're not going to know what the fuck you wanted.
You're just fucking an anomaly at that point.
You're a memory, but everybody else is picking up the freaking pieces.
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
You know, so do your families a favor and write up a living will. You know, it's called a living will, which means it's a will that you wrote when you were still alive, basically. Like, This is your wishes.
It's your last will, yeah. It's your last will and testament.
That's
so many people get confused by what they have to do about that. You don't need to go to a lawyer to have a living will.
No, absolutely not.
If you talk to like at a cemetery, they have paperwork that you most likely can just use and take to a notary public and have them witness and seal it. And that's your word. It's $5-6 for the stamp and a signature, you know?
You could do the same thing with the
That's actually real good to know, because actually good advice, Jay. I appreciate that, because
documented. You could do it through your email, like send it from you to another person. Make sure there's multiple copies, so it's there, stamped, dated. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technology.
And like I was just saying, I appreciate that advice from Jay, because I should actually probably start working on mine too. You know.
Well, it's one of you're right, John, and that's one of those things that a lot of people don't think about. I remember before I went to Afghanistan on my first deployment, that's like we had to make a living will. That was part of the now again, at the time I was 30 years, I was already 30 years old. So for me it was like no big deal. I wrote down what I wanted in there and everything was fine. You got to imagine some of the guys were like, 18, 19, 20 years old.
Yeah,
doing
they don't know what the fuck they're gonna be.
Yeah, like thinking about like these guys.
My PS5 stays with me.
These guys should have been pulling bongs and doing coke off strippers' asses in college, and they're going to Afghanistan writing a fucking will. You know what I mean? Like they should have been doing so many other things in their life, but now they're 20 years old writing a fucking will. You know what I mean? Like in case they don't come back. That's a reality though. That is a reality of the job. And it's no different when, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter who you are or what your job is. Every time you pull your car onto like the interstate, you're taking a chance. Every time you wake up in the morning and you're breathing, that could be the last day. There is no guarantee about any of this shit.
But the idea is to look past that and be happy that you at least woke the fuck up today, because Jesus Christ, some people did, man.
6 feet above is always going to be better than 6 feet below until somebody freaking convinces me otherwise. Until somebody convinces me otherwise, like I have absolutely no reason to not want to live as long as humanly possible. You know what I mean? And just have a lot of fucking fun. You know what I mean? Because life is a lot of fun. So,
it sure is.
I mean, that's why. Like, I hear a lot of people say the same shit. We're like, oh, life is this, and life, like, it's terrible and shit. Like,
great tragedy.
Dude, for me, life is exactly what you make of it. Like, if you're not doing anything with it, of course it's going to be miserable. Of course it's going to fucking suck. Of course it's going to be eaten alive. Because you're not doing anything with it. You're wasting it.
Well, it's like,
dude, yeah, bro.
It's like we were talking about earlier. Like I grew up in Tucson, Arizona. It's not the worst place in the world. It's not the worst place. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. It's set in the middle of a very picturesque desert, in Arizona. But after being there 25 of my first 29 years, like I needed something else.
Yeah.
I was spinning my tires, so like it was time to move on. You know what I mean? And otherwise, I would have turned into that miserable fucking bastard that just hates fucking life and everything fucking sucks.
And there's that one the bane of everyone's existence, regret. I hate that so much, regret. Having to feel regret for me is like
that's the word. I don't do feeling. Yeah, I don't do regret. I don't do regret. That's exactly why
I hate it so much. Like
that's exactly why I jump head first into the deep end every time, because I'm just like, fuck it. Like, life is too fucking short, man. I've already seen it too many times. Like, I don't have time to fuck around. Like, we all have seasons in life where we might not feel the best, we might not be at our best, whatever. Those seasons come and those seasons go. There's also seasons where like everything is fucking amazing. Every day is a goddamn adventure. Life is fun. You remembered what it was like to be a fucking kid for a minute again. You know what I mean? Remember that, like that, like when you remember when you can hit a point in adulthood where even for a fucking day, even for a single day, you remember what it was like to be a kid. There is no comparison to that. That freedom, like that's here, like the book I was fucking gonna fucking plug. God damn it, right there, freedom, fucking freedom. That's freedom. That's true freedom. Like that's actual freedom. Like that's what freedom really actually is being able to live your life in such a way that you are fucking happy. Finding that happiness. Finding that thing that makes you happy.
Who's the author of that book, Jay?
Say again, dude.
Who's the author?
The author of that book is Sebastian. It's pronounced Younger, but it's spelled with a J, so it's Junger. But it's Sebastian Younger, and he was the author of a book called War, which was a companion piece to the documentaries Restrepo and Korengal. Him and his partner Tim Hetherington did Restrepo and all that. So, but he wrote a book called War, which is a companion piece to that. He wrote a follow-up book to War called Tribe, which came out a few years ago, which I highly recommend to anybody. But this book, Freedom, is the bookend. It's basically it's the bookend to the trilogy, basically, that started with War, and it's a very, very interesting book. It's hard to describe because I don't want to say he bounces around because his thoughts are very free flowing, but they're very categorized, and so he'll tell a story, and then he'll move on to like the next piece, but they kind of flow into each other, if it makes sense. So he talks in this book about what the definition of freedom actually is. And he talks about how, like, if you want to just go camp in the wilderness, you can camp in the wilderness, but you're camping at the expense of, you need to make sure nothing's going to attack you at night, and where's your next food, your meal coming from, fresh water. So you're giving up, you have a lot more freedom, but you're giving up safety and security. And then on the extreme opposite end, we have, like, let's say our lives right now. We live in basically suburbia, right? We live in, middle class America. I have air conditioning in the summer. I have heat in the winter. I have to go to the grocery store to get my food. But that safety and security comes at a big price of the overall freedom. Mm-hmm. So if the grocery store closed down, I wouldn't have nowhere to go get food. I don't know how to hunt. I don't know how to take meat off of animals. I don't know how to tan hides.
Just have a knife and start fucking going to town, dude. Just
right. So there's the two opposite extremes. You can be completely on your own and have all the freedom in the world to do literally whatever the fuck you want, but it comes at a great cost of safety and security. Or you can have all the safety and security in the world, but it comes at great cost for your actual personal freedom. I don't get to do whatever the fuck I want because I live in a neighborhood, and if I walk out on my front porch right now and blast off like 5 rounds from a 45, the cops are going to get fucking called. Right? That's not freedom.
It would be really fucking cool, though.
It would be fucking cool, but there's fucking rules here, right? Like that's not true freedom, right? Like that's like I can't just go do whatever the fuck I want here because obviously I'd fucking get thrown in jail. So he talks about that in this book, and he tells us there's a running story throughout the book where him and 2 or 3 of his at most it's 3, and at times it gets down to 2, but him and like a few of his friends started walking the railroads out east in Pennsylvania, actually, like in your neck of the woods, Joe, and the Appalachians and stuff like that. And part of this book is about the fact that, like, first off, you're not even supposed to walk the rail lines. It's illegal. Like, I want to make that known on this podcast. It is illegal to walk rail lines. You're not allowed to do that. Like, so don't, if you're watching this podcast, don't get any bright ideas because you will get the cops called on you, and you'll be, the railroad infrastructure in our country is very heavily protected.
Don't fuck with it. Seriously.
Police looks like the MPs almost, man. Like they're serious.
They will. Engineers on rail lines will if they see like a group of people like too close to the rails, like they will call you in, and you will get. And they talk about that in that book where they had to like run and hide, and they were sleeping outside every night, while they're basically just living like homeless people is what they were doing. But he did that kind of as a cathartic exercise, like the guy that he made Restrepo with, Tim Wetherington. God damn it! Hang on a second. I want to make sure I'm getting this guy's name right. I apologize. The guy he did what the fuck was his name? Tim Hetherington. I'm sorry, Hetherington. So Tim Hetherington, the guy that he made Restrepo with, actually passed away in 2011 in Syria. So when the Syrian civil war kicked off, Tim Hetherington got killed as he was reporting and covering the Syrian civil war. He was actually hit and got killed. So this is a few years after that, and him and a few of his other friends are basically just living like homeless people and just really discovering America and what freedom means and And this book was a book. This book is a bookend to War and Tribe, his other two books, basically, that deal with, war and the veteran community and a lot of stuff. And I thought it was really, especially this week, I thought it was very astute almost that I kind of dove into this book specifically this week with everything that's been happening in Afghanistan. We talked on last week's podcast. The big talk was the people falling off the planes, trying to escape. Oh, and then this week we had the suicide attacks at Kabul International Airport, and we lost a lot of Marines, and we lost a Navy corpsman, and we lost a U.S. Army soldier in that attack. And it's one of those things where I put it up on my Facebook, but I posted a picture on my Facebook of their caskets in the back of the Air Force plane, basically getting ready to come home. And I said on my Facebook post, like, this is the final cost of serving in the military. That is the final cost. Like, you smoked your last cigarette, you drank your last beer, you had your last laugh. When that happens, it's always final. Sometimes in the Army, depending on how long you stay in, it might not seem like it happens very often at all. And other times it seems like it happens all the time. Where you start getting almost used to it, if that makes sense, which is a terrible thing to get used to, but you get used to hearing about people passing away.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things where the cost gets magnified at the end, just like the cost was magnified at the beginning when the war initially kicked off.
Yeah.
The cost was magnified at the beginning, and the cost is magnified again at the end. These are some of the final people that will probably lose their lives in Afghanistan from our country, for the foreseeable future, at least. After we finally pull everyone out and everybody's gone, those are going to be some of the final soldiers that perish in the war in Afghanistan, for a while. And it really kind of shines a light on how, I guess, jaded we get, and how cynical we get, and how when the news is the same every day for 20 years, you almost forget that you're even in a war.
Yeah,
is what it is.
I mean, I went to Afghanistan the first time in June of 2011, and I came home in June of 2012. I went again in 2016 to Kandahar, and I went to Helmand province in 2018. And every time I went, there's people that know me in my personal life, obviously, and that, like on my Facebook, my social media feed.
Yeah.
Outside of that, we were ghosts. We were doing our jobs, and we did a very good job of what we did. But it was like for the rest of the world just keeps moving along, and the world keeps turning. For the people of Afghanistan, for the last 40 years, they've had foreign occupation, starting with the Soviet Union. When the Soviets pulled out, they had a big civil war. The Taliban kind of came out on top. You still have the Northern Alliance. September 11th happened a few years after that, and then we've been there for the last 20 years. And now that we're leaving, the Northern Alliance is trying to like reform and come back. So we're looking at another possible civil war. And even this attack at the airport this week was not by the Taliban or the Northern Alliance. It was by fucking ISIS-K, which is a completely different fucking group. So it's like, imagine living in Afghanistan. Like, we talk about our lives here in the United States. Imagine living in Afghanistan for the last 40 years. I turned 40 in January. I was a baby almost 2 years after Afghanistan was invaded by the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And I'm 40. So like that country, that area of the world, has been at constant odds, my entire lifetime. And I've spent 2.5 years of my life there.
That puts a lot into perspective.
Yeah, that's crazy how long it's been.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah. I've spent literally 2.5 years of my life there. I've lived in Afghanistan for 2.5 years of my life. And that's a fucking fly on the wall. That's a drop in the ocean of actually living there, like being an Afghan. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm ranting.
Given all that's being said on this, I mean, we've been in there for 20 years training them, trying to get them built up so they can defend themselves. And I only have one thing to say about the entire situation at this point, aside from the pullout, because we all know that was a fucking botched foobar fuck up. Is that those who sacrifice security for freedom deserve neither.
Yeah.
They literally they just laid down. They said, you know what, never mind. Sure, let it happen. You know, president ran off to wherever the hell he ran off to, man, of Afghanistan. He ran off, like, took all the money with him, all the gold and shit. Like, he's just gone. Dude, it was bound to happen no matter what. If we would have done it the right way and pulled all of Americans out, civilians out, and everything first to help their allies get their people out, and then withdrew the military, then I still feel like this would have happened. We would have been hearing about, the Taliban took over, because China's in their ear, and I'm not trying to get all political here, but you know, basically China wanted what they wanted over there.
Fuck China.
Russia, I can't fucking believe what's happening in the world, but you know, we're just over here smoking weed, drinking beer, trying to feel like, you know, nothing. We're you abusing our?
Yeah, we're definitely fucking coddled at this point.
Our freedoms.
We have left. I do want to interject just slightly that the son of the former leader of the Northern Alliance. This is pre 9/11, and this man is considered a national hero in Afghanistan. His name is Masood. His son has reformed the Northern Alliance, and there are Afghans that are willing to fight for their country. So there are, and they did like a call across the country, like come to the province of Panjshir and fight. Basically, like there are people there willing to fight for their country.
Good.
It's one of the and a lot of those guys that laid down their arms, it was not much different than in 2014 when we saw the rise of ISIS in Iraq. A lot of people don't have the fortitude, the intestinal fortitude to fight, so they lay the weapons down and they save their skin for another day. That is an evolutionary trait, believe it or not. Like, and actually, like the book I was talking about, it discusses aspects of that, where like you will have tribes of people who are willing to do whatever it takes, and it's a tribal mentality. Like we will die to the last man. That's a tribal mentality. Or we will run and we'll hide and we'll do whatever and we'll live to fight another day. That's another tribal mentality. That'd be, let's say, the Taliban, right? Like we will hide and we stay low. We know we can't do anything to them while they're here, so we'll just fucking hit them here, hit them there, and fucking hide out for fucking 20 years. That's a tribal mentality. But it's also like
Hydra, yeah.
Cut off one head.
Like Hydra.
That's right. And so it's one of those things where there was never going to be an easy solution to the Afghanistan problem. I don't think. But like you're saying too, like who's to say what's going to happen in the next few years? You know what I mean? Like when we were there, I liken it to if I came to your house and I went in your backyard and just started like cooking meat and doing whatever the fuck I wanted, and like maybe your dog starts yapping at me, so maybe I kick the shit out of
your rib, bro. I'm happy.
That's usually how I'm about it. Like, you gonna break me off a piece of that, bro?
Like if you're gonna cook,
so it's like but like I'm in your backyard. So like I'm in your backyard and your dog starts yapping at me, so I kick the shit out of your dog.
Hold on.
Who's gonna shoot me? I've been in your backyard for 20 years. Who's gonna shoot me?
That's true.
Who's gonna kick the shit out of me? I'm doing what the fuck I want in your backyard. You ain't fucking doing shit. Like, you ain't doing shit to me. Like, nobody's doing shit to me. I do whatever the fuck I want in your fucking backyard for 20 years.
What America's doing to Afghanistan?
For 20 years. Oh, by the way, my mom just called, so I gotta go right now. So I'm gonna leave you in your shitty backyard. And fucking, I'm gonna go home because my mom called me in. But just so you know, and this is a warning. This is a warning to everybody on this block. I just came here for 20 years and did whatever the fuck I wanted. Fuck off. Like, I'll be back. I'll be back, dude. I'll be back.
Can do it again.
Yeah. So
that's foreign policy. That's foreign policy. Like, there's a statement to be made that like we can go to Vietnam and do whatever the fuck we want for 10 years. And you can say we lost the war all fucking day. But guess what? We did whatever the fuck we wanted for 10 years. Oh, Afghanistan, Iraq. We went there for fucking 20 years. And we did whatever the fuck we wanted. And nobody stopped us. That is a statement to the world. Like, if you want some, dude, like, we got it. We go on patrol looking for trouble. It's like a giant game of fuck around and find out. Like, we go on patrol just to try to get into a fight. Like, motherfucker, like, bring it. We're asking for it. Like, if you got something, bring it, especially China. Fuck you, China. Fuck you, Winnie the Pooh looking motherfucker, dude. Fucking Putin. Fuck Russia too, you little bitch. I got something for that ass, dude. I got something for that ass.
So
I stack body like fucking cordwood, homie. I'll use that shit like fucking sandbags. I don't give a fuck, dude.
So
we don't give a fuck, dude. Like, you guys didn't do shit.
Here, man. It's all behind this.
It really is. So okay, so this has been a really fun episode. But before we get to our final thought, we do need to talk about something before we get to the final thought. We got to know who you guys are. We got a nice taste of what you guys bring to the table. But what is the Late Brunch?
It is whatever our little hearts desire, to be perfectly honest with you. We're just here to entertain as much as possible. We're here to talk about daily shit, the things that are relative, but, entertaining. At the same time, everybody critiques. Everybody has an opinion. And we kind of give, not just ourselves, but we give anyone who would want to, the platform to actually come on and really just speak the fuck up. Like, doesn't matter what the hell it is about, honestly.
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to our topics of discussions. When we get into a show, it's basically just whatever conversations we probably would be having no matter what anyway. So then it just turns into what we figured could be entertainment for anyone else.
Some of it is, borderline chaotic. A lot of it is, we definitely tiptoe across some barriers and shit, but it's all for entertainment purposes. Like, I definitely want to make sure that that's put out there. Like, everything we do, say, and do on our podcast is all opinion based. Like, everybody has a fucking opinion, so that's the purpose of it. Is we have an opinion and we have the right to fucking express it, so we're gonna do that. And if anybody else feels exactly the same, come on.
Come on down.
Come on.
We expect some big guests coming in the near future in some future episodes.
Absolutely.
We'll be dropping teasers throughout the next few weeks, clips of the visit here to Pennsylvania, some things that were recorded prior even. And then, of course, we have more shenanigans we intend to go through today while everyone's still here. So a lot more pictures, maybe some stuff going up on the social media pages, Instagram.
Most definitely, we're going to be attacking that shit.
And so you just debuted your first episode yesterday. What can we expect for new listeners who have never listened to this before? What's going on?
I mean, like we said, it's very open ended. We kind of get into the topic of like what's going down today, like now.
Gaming,
basically, like with gaming trends, fucking pretty much just stupid shit that we'll find on the goddamn internet. That's what we got our handy dandy whiteboard. That's our new friend. I'm actually very excited about the whiteboard.
Wonderful.
Actually, thanks to John and Clean Sanchez Productions for holding down the whiteboard work. It's good shit, man. And,
I love how it's clean Sanchez. Clean Sanchez. Not a dirty Sanchez, it's clean.
Gotten a good amount of feedback as far as like the layout. Like, it's very unique. It's a really unique layout, and I'm really happy with the turnout. We were all really satisfied with the turnout. We were able to. I was surprised that we were able to adapt the layout like in a way that we can accommodate all of us together, which was great. So. I mean, I just look forward to what this can turn into. I know we could do a lot more. We've got Twitch, which we're going to be, actually streaming some gaming through that. We're on Instagram. We're
Spotify, Anchor,
Spotify,
Apple Podcasts,
all that stuff.
Yeah, we're on it. We have a WordPress site that's always in development, but I mean, it's something, right?
Oh yeah, merch is in the works. The design work is it's cranking. So we're gonna get on top of that as soon as possible, even if it's just stickers or whatever the fuck we could get out there. It doesn't matter what it is. You want condoms? You want fucking? You want like?
Glow in the dark condoms.
Yeah, we can get glow in the dark condoms.
Yo,
tissues.
Fuck yeah. I remember seeing a porn. I remember seeing a porn when I was a kid. I was like in the fucking 90s, and they had like glow in the dark condoms, and like it was like these two dudes like got into a fight, and all you saw was like the glow in the
dark. That's really the whole fucking I guess gist of the show. It's really open ended. It's just right to the brink of as far as I guess we can take it, depending on the platform.
There's possibly some raunch going on with it. You know, you never know if we're talking about.
Yeah, we actually got something really big planned out in our first episode. We had John demolish a fucking triple stacked double cheeseburgers.
It was 3 double cheeseburgers from Burger King, but he took a couple of the fun pieces out. So we had
who did? John did that?
Yeah, John.
The video's up on YouTube now.
Fries, nuggets, soda, and the fucking burger.
John, why would you do that to yourself?
Well, to protect his ass.
He hasn't shit right in like since then. But there was a bet that he could do it.
How do you even know that?
I know more about your body functions than you'll ever like. Come on, bro. We're. You feel me in your mind, dude? Like just fucking penetrating.
I haven't shit. I haven't shit since being here.
TJ, this is why on the show the glory hole is on that side.
Right.
Body.
Right.
That's why.
But there's a little rawness to our show. Though don't get it too twisted. We keep it real, but we're also not afraid to speak our minds.
Oh, absolutely fucking not.
Have going on. So a lot of things going on, but basically John was betting. He was betting me. Gio's mom has a chancleta, which is a flip flop. If you will. And I've never been hit with one. So we're going to possibly have a bit where I was going to get hit with a chancleta or beat by 1 or 2 Latina mothers to, go through the fact of what they went through as children.
Exactly.
And now,
I've also seen that porn.
But John to see if he ate all this food, if I was
if he couldn't eat all the food, he would take Joe's place in the flip flop ass whoopings.
I still lost.
So John completed 7, so Joe still has to get the ass whooping.
But my God, I'm the real winner because this poor dude hasn't shit in like 4 days.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
I don't. First off, because we have to get to the final thought. I don't even know how you even assume that or know that at the same time. 2, I haven't even taken a shit since I've been here, especially almost yesterday. Since I haven't taken a shit since being here, and like yesterday, one of my kids took a dump, and like in the bathroom and left a fucking mess in there, and I had to clean the whole thing. It was so. I was in that bathroom for like maybe 15. I had to clean your bathroom because my son, one of my kids, I'm assuming it was Jonah, took this wild shit and the whole bowl was fucking like. It looked like there was peanut butter spread on the bowl like.
Fucking Kit Kats. Remember, you got 2 more you got to worry about. So get ready. Get the gloves, the Windex, Clorox wipes.
But guys, we are here at
the end of the show.
Oh wait, I forgot I have to deep throat this thing.
Deep throat it.
So guys, we're here at the end of the show. Jay, who did it last week?
You did actually.
Oh shit.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'll hop on real quick. Give me 1 second. All right. So every week we talk about making phone calls. We've talked about it on this episode, answering your phone if somebody's calling you. Always want to encourage people, if you're feeling a certain way, don't be afraid to reach out to your friends, your family, your loved ones. Call the National Suicide Hotline if you need to. Absolutely. It's 1-800-273-TALK. Okay, 1-800-273-TALK. And since we kind of broached the topic earlier. For today's final thought, I would just like to send a shout out to a few people that lost their lives earlier this week. at Kabul International Airport. Okay, so
Absolutely.
one at a time. We have Staff Sergeant Ryan C. Noss, 23, Coreyton, Tennessee. He was from the United States Army. We have Hospitalman Maxton W. Soviak. He was 22, from Berlin Heights, Ohio. He was from the United States Navy. We have Corporal David L. Espinoza. He was 20. He was from Rio Bravo, Texas. Sergeant Nicole L. G. She was 23, Sacramento, California. She was Marine Corps, and so was Lance Corporal Espinoza. They were both in the Marine Corps. Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Darren T. Hoover. He was 31, Salt Lake City, Utah. Corporal Hunter Lopez, 22, of Indio, California, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Riley J. McCollum, 20, from Jackson, Wyoming, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Dylan R. Marola, 20, of Rancho Cucamonga, California, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nikui, 20, of Norco, California, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Dagan W. Page, Omaha, Nebraska, 23 years old, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Johnny Rosario Pichardo. He was 25, from Lawrence, Massachusetts, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Humberto A. Sanchez, 22 years old, Logansport, Indiana, United States Marine Corps. And Lance Corporal Jared M. Schmitz. He was 20 years old. He was from St. Charles, Missouri, United States Marine Corps. So I hope you ladies and gentlemen enjoy your trip to the stars, and we appreciate everything you did. Your deaths were absolutely not in vain. So thank you for everything you have done. For anybody out there that's feeling a certain way, don't be afraid to reach out. Call your friends, call your family, call your loved ones. If you are on the other end of that, if you receive a phone call at 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning randomly, don't get pissed off that your sleep got interrupted. Look at who's calling you, pick up the phone, and answer it. All right, love on each other, and be good human beings this week. We'll see you guys next time.
Gio, Joe, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.